All right, welcome to the first episode of the Crowns for Kings podcast. It's a podcast with a rabbi and a team. We'll be talking life, fun, Judaism, Torah. I don't know, what else are we talking about, Sam?
Maybe the brand, lifestyle, anything, sports.
The Crowns for Kings brand lifestyle, which gets to the first point. What is Crowns for King? What is it? It's a brand that you made.
Yeah.
How old are you, Sam?
13.
And you started the brand when you were?
12.
Not bad. So tell us about the brand. What is it?
So it's a brand, but for me it's more like a lifestyle, like to live like a king, to live well, high end and more like out there. So I'm working on new designs on like, instead of just a logo shirt, like a graphic design just to explain like what it is and how you could be more diverse in what you do. So yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. Where does the name Crowns for King come from?
So I was looking at like some things, and I wanted to be something with a king or a crown, just because I wanted to represent royalty when you hear of the brand, and I wanted people to think of royalty right away. So I think just Crowns for King stuck with it, and yeah.
It's a great name. I love it. Before we started, I told Sam this is an experiment. We'll see how this rolls. That I was going to talk about the spiritual angle of Crowns for Kings. So, you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in Hebrew, the word crown is keter. Keter is a crown. That's how you say crown in Hebrew. It's a keter. Keter, crown, has huge significance in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism.
I'm guessing.
The base, what?
I'm guessing because of all the kings come from the Torah.
Right. There's all the kings
David,
in Torah.
Yeah.
So there's definitely in Torah itself, there's a whole bit about kings and the Davidic line and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but spiritually, the crown sits on top of your head, right? Physically sits on top of your head. So if your head is the highest part of your body, it's the hardest part of your life, which is your thoughts, your ideas, your intelligence, your brain. But then the crown sits on top of it. So that royalty you're talking about doesn't just come from what I understand, but something bigger, something higher that sits on my head.
Yeah,
right?
So instead of it just being like on your clothing, it's sort of like more of a lifestyle, because it's like royalty, and you're thinking of what you can do better and higher.
Right. So you're always looking upward.
Yeah.
Like this thing on top of my head.
Exactly.
Right. So what's that thing? The Kabbalah says that this thing that is bigger and higher than the brain, than the mind, is willpower. Willpower is my crown. I can understand why something's right. Doesn't mean I'm motivated to do it. If I want something, I'm going to make it happen. Right? And I think it's also kind of connected to the brand. Royalty, kind of giving off that lifestyle, is all about having the willpower to want to make things happen, to get out there, like you were saying before, being diverse and getting out there.
Yeah.
It's all willpower. You have to really want it, and you can own it, and then you have that drive to want to go get it. So it's all about this desire and this drive. Right? That's what crown represents in Kabbalah, and I think in this lifestyle also, right?
Exactly.
So, what's interesting is that, so I mentioned that the word in Hebrew for crown is keter.
Yes.
Keter is made up of 3 letters. And they are a kaf, a taf, and a resh. Now here we have a chart of
what the letters correspond to.
Exactly. What each letter corresponds to in their numbers, like the numerical value. So keter, I'm blocking the mic. Kaf is 20. Right. Taf is 400. And resh is 200. Making a total of 620. So we know that how many commandments are there in the Torah?
613.
613. But there are 7 rabbinical commandments, making a total of 620. So the keter, the crown, is 620. Keter, we said before, the crown is desire, willpower.
Yeah.
What does God want?
God wants us to succeed. God wants us to learn.
Wants us to learn, and those 620 commandments.
620.
That's essentially what they are. So the crown represents God's desire to have us do these things, and through that we can connect to Him, making that deep connection, which is a crown. It becomes God's crown, and it becomes our crown. Right? There's nothing more sad than a king without a crown. You know that song from Matisyahu, the king without a crown? right? There's nothing more sad than that, because here's a king, he's got all this potential, he can make all this happen, he's not wearing his crown, he's not doing anything about it, right? So we have this potential, 620 keter, that numerical value, 620 opportunities and ways that we can connect to God, all these commandments. And that's our crown, that's our opportunity. There's nothing more sad than not being able to get that done. So the spiritual significance of crowns for kings is a big deal. Because we are kings, and we have this opportunity to connect, we've got to put that crown on.
Yeah. So it's basically like relates to spirituality, because there's 620 mitzvahs in the Torah, or 613, and then an extra 7, so 620, right?
Right.
So by you wearing the crown, which represents 620, the numerical number.
Right.
So by wearing it, you're basically wearing a crown of pride, and wearing a crown from God.
That's right.
Because God, this is God's crown. This is what God wants you to do, and by doing that, you're crowning Him, and you're giving strength and happiness. And that's what the crown is significant.
Very, very well said. It's exactly right. So in Kabbalah talks a lot about this idea, making sure the king has his crown. Both God has that crown, the strength and the joy that he gets from us, and we having that crown, making that connection, right? Which I think we talked about this once before, which gets to the other idea. You know the translation of the word mitzvah? Typical translation of the word mitzvah. Right? A mitzvah is a commandment.
Yeah.
Torah says to do that, it's called a mitzvah. Right? So just a typical translation. Then there's a different translation to the word mitzvah. Besides the translation commandment, there's also the translation connection. Right? Mitzvah also means connection. So if, I don't know, who's your favorite president?
Not a
Prime Minister, I don't know.
Sure.
Make it up.
I'll say Steve Harper.
All right, Steve Harper. So you met Steve Harper. What would you have to talk to him about?
Supporting the Jews. And how
supporting the Jews? Yeah.
And his good choices.
His good choices, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you'd have anything to contribute? I wouldn't, but do you think you'd have anything to contribute to Stephen Harper's? Right.
No.
But the best way we can establish a connection with someone like Stephen Harper's, let's say, is if you walked in here and said, "Hey Sam, pass me a glass of water," and you did it, you established a connection. Because there was a request, a command, and then through the fulfillment of the command, you made a connection. So these 620 mitzvot, commandments, are opportunities for connection. If I had nothing to contribute to a conversation with Stephen Harper, then what exactly am I contributing to God? But if he asks me to do something and says, "Hey, keep Shabbat, I don't know, be nice to your friends, do this."
So you're basically just getting closer to God.
Exactly.
In a more humane way.
Exactly. So God's giving you these opportunities to make those connections. So the crown becomes like this connection between us and God. Exactly. It's kind of like taking the literal analogy of kings and a crown. What goes and lives on from one generation to the next in a kingdom is the crown.
Yeah, so you're passing down the crown.
Exactly. It's the connection between the two situations. Like when you say, you don't say you're talking to the king, or like the crown is speaking. It's like a way of saying that we're talking about the king here, not just the person, but something represents much bigger, right?
Yeah. So it's spiritual. It could also be physical.
That's right.
It's a way of, it's representing kingship and worthiness.
Yeah, worthiness is a good word because it gives you that massive confidence.
Yeah.
Right? When I say, "Look, God asked me to do this," and I'm doing it, there's a lot of confidence in that. I'm not just doing something random. I'm doing something God wants. I'm making a serious connection here. I'm putting on that crown. There's a lot of confidence, a lot of pride, a lot of...
So it's like as if your parents ask you, just making it a bigger connection because of God.
Exactly right. Exactly right. What else do we got?
Not sure.
All right. First free trial. We'll see how we did.